Hello, dear friends. This is Pastor Nick Keller with the Minute to Mold message from Pine Valley Baptist Church. We trust and pray that you're doing well in your listening place today. We've been looking at the ABCs of Christian growth, and this week we're looking at the family, letter F. And I believe the devil, nothing more today, desires to devour Christians, but at the same time, he's attacking through the home. God gives us two institutions whereby the Bible shows us to live by, and He uses to minister through. Number one is our church, but number two is our family or our home, right? We find very clearly in Genesis chapter number 2, the first home that takes place, verses 15 through 25. And God saw the need of Adam, and He thought it wasn't good for man to be alone, so He created him what is called a helpmeet. That word helpmeet literally means one that complements and one that completes the man. God desires for those two to be one flesh, and that one flesh to work and serve together. So what is man's relationship, or the husband's relationship to his wife? The Bible's very clear that the man ought to leave his father and mother, and in Genesis 2:24 says, cleave to his wife. That word cleave literally means to cement, right? To glue together, and that way it would never separate, and they two are joined together, serving each other. And that's God's desire for the home, and the challenge for us today. How do we do that? How do we cleave? That comes from the love that we should have towards our spouse. Men, the Bible instructs us in Ephesians chapter 5, verse 25. And notice it's not a suggestion, it's an instruction, a command, that a husband ought to love his wife. Well, bless God, she ought to do what I said. God says that I'm the leader of the home. Then earn it through the love that you have towards your wife. The Bible likens the love that a husband should have towards his wife to Christ loving the church. So let me give you three aspects of this love, men, we should have towards our helpmate. Number one, it should be a special love. The Bible's very clear in 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 7, that we're to dwell with them according to knowledge and to give honor. See, God desires for us to have this special, unique love just as much as He has a special, unique love for us. Not only is it a special love, it's a selfish love, right? A love that puts our desires, our thoughts behind ourselves. The Bible clear in 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 3, that we're to render benevolence to our wife. That word benevolence gives us the idea that we're to cherish her. It's not just what I can get out of the relationship or what pleasure I can get out of the relationship, but what I can give. And then finally, it's a sacrificial love. The Bible says Jesus is the head of the church, and we find that as a husband, we ought to love our wife as Christ loved our church. But if you remember, Christ gave Himself for His church. The Bible says in Ephesians 5, verse number 28, that we're to love our wife as our own body. It should be a sacrificial love. I remember years ago hearing a story about a little boy. He was taught about how God created everything and how God created human life and how God made mankind. And little Johnny was just so curious in his little Sunday school class about this. And he learned how God had taken the rib of Adam and He created Eve from that rib. And later on during the week, he was laying down and he told his mother that he had a pain in his side. And his mother says, "What do you think's wrong?" And the little boy says, "I think I'm having myself a wife." What a relationship we can have. God chose a rib, not a bone from the foot to be trampled upon, not a bone from His head to be trampled upon, but chose a rib to protect, to love close to His heart. So I challenge you today, men, love your wife. God bless you, my friends.